Apple announcements galore, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey, Gadgeteer, you're just in time for the latest episode of the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. My name is Taylor Merrick, and this is the first time you're tuning in. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss out on the latest. We do this on the daily around here, except for yesterday's show. I don't know, I had offline projects and other side business ventures going on that consumed most of my time. So yes, I was quite aware of some of the tech news and announcements and things going on, but we are back. We got another show for you guys, so I hope you are all set and ready to go on that. Keep in mind, we still haven't figured out how to do that trivia segment or the did you know. You've probably been like, what? If you're new here, outside of that, we usually do like a little trivia segment right around this point, but that's to be determined when we're able to find more content. But I think that covers all of it for the announcements. Let's hop right on over. Well, before we can though, I just remembered we have to talk about what we're going to cover today on the show. Hello. Anyways, today we'll be taking a look at, well, all of the announcements that Apple revealed at their event, coming from the iPhone 11, the Apple Watch Series 5, the Apple Arcade. No, we're not going to be looking at the stupid Apple TV Plus because that's a piece of garbage. We'll also be taking a look at. No, you think I'm joking? No, I'm dead serious. We're not even covering that. We'll also be taking a look at, well, some leaked photos showing Google's Pixel 4 in some pretty incredible detail. We'll be getting into that. And in gaming news, we'll be taking a look at Civilization 6 adding Battle Royale mode to their lineup. I don't know why, but let's just add Battle Royale mode to everything else. Let's see if they actually do well for this one. We'll also be taking a look at the new Plants vs. Zombies shooter is off to a strong start. And finally, we'll be taking a look at the Surge 2 finally getting a new cinematic story trailer. But before we can, let's take a look back on today in tech history. Alright, today is September 10th, 2019. On this day, in 1990, the first internet search engine, Archie, was launched. It was used to index FTP archives to make finding files easier. However, as the technology for the World Wide Web was not invented until later in the year, it was not essentially the first web search engine, because it was kind of complicated and trying to figure out exactly how to connect everything and do everything. But yeah, Archie and all the rest of them, man, think 1990. I'm old. Also, on this day in history, in 1948, Microsoft Word chief architect Simone was born. Charles Simone, who's worked as chief architect of Microsoft Word, was born in Budapest, Hungary. After moving to the United States to study at the University of California, Berkeley, Simone took a job at the Xerox PARC in Palo Alto, developing the first what you see is what you get word processing editor. Later at Microsoft, he integrated such theories into Word and Multiplan, the predecessor of the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And you can kind of see how simple the design was and how really nothing much has changed of it over the years, but how beneficial it has been to many individuals and companies and business and technology in general worldwide. So yes, he was the one responsible for Word. With that out of the way, let's head on over to today's feature story. All right, so we're just going to be taking a look at the highlights of the announcement event that Apple had going on today. And no, we are not going to be taking a look at the stupid piece of garbage Apple TV Plus. Stupid. It's dumb. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. But we are going to be taking a look at the iPhone 11. They finally got some official announcements on that, including a dual camera system, night mode, and new colors. By the way, if you're interested in this article or any of the articles mentioned on today's show or any other show, head on over to TechNewsGadget.net. There you can feast your eyes on not only the articles, but you can feast your ears on a podcast option available there as well as, well, the YouTube video option of the show that we have as well. Now, Apple is introducing a successor to its iPhone XR today, dubbed iPhone 11. The cheaper LCD-equipped iPhone XR has become the most popular iPhone in the world over the past year. Well, yeah, because everybody's like, ooh, something new, something shiny, gotta buy it. Oh, broke it. And Apple is now updating it for 2019 and beyond. Except, here's the funny thing, the iPhone XR was actually the sturdiest one out of the entire flagship lineup, and everybody defaulted to purchasing that one as opposed to, the main product. So, ironically, funny. Like last year's model, the iPhone 11 includes a 6.1-inch display, and the design is almost identical to last year too, according to rumors, which have now been confirmed, with the notch at the front for the Face ID camera. Apple is adding new color options with, get this, purple, white, green, yellow, black, and red, all available. Apple's biggest design changes are in the camera at the rear of the device. Last year's iPhone XR has a single 12-megapixel wide-angle camera, but the iPhone 11 now includes a dual camera system with an additional 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera that supports 2x optical zoom. There's even a new immersive camera interface that lets you see outside the frame so that you can see the details of the photo you're taking with the ultra-wide camera. Pretty impressive. The camera is clearly a big deal for Apple here, and the company is adding multi-scale tone mapping that deals with highlights differently depending on where they are. There's also a new high-key mono portrait effect, and the portrait mode itself will now work on pets. Perhaps the biggest addition is night mode to better compete with Google Pixel devices and Samsung's latest Note 10 and S10 handsets. Night mode uses adaptive bracketing to improve shots taken at night, and here we got a little bit of an example on the screen, a comparison side-by-side photo. Yes, this is why you should tune in to the video show that we have over on youtube.com/TechNewsGadget, because if you're listening to the audio version, I completely understand, but you're missing out on the visuals. So if you want to refer back, you know where to go. For video, you can tap to switch between the ultra-wide and regular camera, and there's support for 4K resolution, up to 60 FPS, slow-mo, time-lapse, and a new extended dynamic range across both cameras. Even the front-facing camera is getting an upgrade to a 12-megapixel true-depth wide-angle camera that you can rotate to do landscape shots. The front camera can also do 4K and 60K video and slow-mo. Perfect if you're going for those crazy selfie videos, or sloffies, as Apple calls them, and you got all of that up on screen. We're looking at 36% brighter true tone flash as well, and a completely redesigned camera experience with auto adjust. Inside the iPhone 11 is Apple's latest A13 Bionic processor, and naturally, it's the fastest CPU in a smartphone and also the fastest GPU in a smartphone. Apple demonstrated the performance on stage with a game called Pascal's Wager, which is launching on the App Store next month with some pretty impressive looking mobile graphics. Other than the gaming demo, Apple really didn't reveal any additional performance improvements with the A13. iPhone 11 will also include an additional hour of battery life over the XR and what Apple calls enhanced Face ID that's supposed to speed up the face scanning feature. The iPhone 11 is even rated to IP68 water resistance up to 2 meters, whereas the iPhone XR was rated at IP67, so just a little bit more. Apple is pricing the iPhone 11 starting at $699, and it will start shipping on September 20th. Pre-orders begin on Friday, September 13th, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern, not Pacific, not PM either, because I'm confused looking at everything. Anyways, so yeah, great news. In case you're wondering and you're sitting there and listening and you're like, oh, this is great, iPhone 11. It actually seems, finally a step up. But it's more like an improvement off of last year's model, which is almost what last year's model should have been. So it almost seems like at this point, Apple is a model behind itself. Overall, in terms of like the world competition right now, everybody's just blasting right towards 5G and everything that comes with the features and options available at that. Power, processing speeds, cameras, everything that goes along with that. So obviously Apple has competition on its hands well enough to deal with. But it's almost like this. Now, hear me out. And if you do disagree, do let me know in the YouTube comments. It almost seems like this is what should have been announced last year. And this year should have been pretty darn close to the time. Maybe they should have come out with their own 5G phone. Now, granted, this phone that we're talking about right now, the iPhone 11, is not going to have 5G capabilities at all. That's going to be next year's phone. So if you're happening to wonder, hey, am I going to get the 5G capability in this phone? No. Nope. And we already knew that from the start going into the phones coming out this year. We'll have to wait till next year and possibly the year after for Apple to fully integrate 5G capabilities into their smartphone system setups. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to continue the conversation on YouTube or on Twitter at TechNewsGadget. Let me know. Those are my thoughts. But yeah, finally, I like a phone that looks decent and has the power to back it up, and is finally like the phone that were all expecting. I don't know. Could be wrong, but that's just me. Moving right up to the next announcement, they announced the latest generation of its watch fitness wearables, the Apple Watch Series 5. Always on display, ceramic and titanium models, native compass, and more. So they also unveiled the latest ones at its annual September event. The iPhone grabbed obviously most of the attention, but the new watch, which succeeds the Watch Series 4, adds a few new features. It will start at $400 US for the GPS only model and $500 US for both GPS and cellular. You can order the Apple Watch Series 5 now. It will be available in stores on September 20th. As the fifth iteration of one of the best-selling fitness wearables, the Apple Watch and its suite of apps focuses on user fitness, biometrics, and health research. The Watch Series 5 will have an always-on display while delivering, Apple says. The same all-day 18-hour battery life as previous models. It's something other watches have had, and we're excited to see it come, finally, to the Apple Watch. Much like other smartwatches, especially last year's Qualcomm Snapdragon 3100 Wear OS watches, the color watch faces go into a dimmer, yet still slightly animated mode when you turn your wrist away. The watch faces kind of change colors a bit and then brighten up when you turn your wrist back to look at it. The always-on mode works only when it's on a wrist and with Apple Watch's faces and the workout app. Other features include a native compass. During, I guess, CNET's brief time looking at it, they could get directional bearings quickly, and it seemed to perform fine in a crowded Steve Jobs Theater demo room. Compass complications show up in a few watch faces too. The new case designs, particularly ceramic and titanium, are quite sharp looking. And well, they better be, topping off at $1,200 or so for the ceramic model. The titanium case has a brushed metal look that's pretty different from the polished mirrored steel of the stainless models. Now, the Apple Watch Series 5 doesn't feel dramatically different, but having that always-on display is a big and overdue change that not a lot of us were expecting, but are glad to welcome. In addition to the debut of the Apple Watch Series 5, they also announced it has permanently lowered the price of its Apple Watch 3, which launched in 2017, to $199 US. So, yeah, and then they got some images that go along with that. Look at that. Look at it. Here's how it looks. Yeah. So here they are looking at the stuff, and one of the styles is a brushed titanium finish. Some more stuff, activity trends. You can do Apple Pay through it as well. Titanium and two finishes, enhanced Siri, emergency services, medical ID, and there you go. There's a compass, a couple different looks about it. But yep, that's the Apple Watch announcement for you. And finally, we'll be moving on to take a look at another thing announced. Nope. I'm not even covering the Apple TV Plus. It's the pile of garbage. It really is. It's almost as stupid as the Apple News Plus announcement, which, remember when, in case you're wondering, if you want my full rant on all of it, just go back to the previous episode called Apple Puts Pluses on Everything. I think that's the title. It's something about Apple and any announcement and pluses. Apple adds pluses to everything. That you'll hear my full rant and kind of know what I am and am not looking forward to, and Apple TV Plus isn't one of them. Apple featured its new collection of games called Apple Arcade during its September event, where it finally revealed the price and the release date for the subscription service. Apple Arcade will be available for mobile users starting on September 19th, and it'll cost $4.99 a month. According to Apple, this price will make the catalog of mobile games available to everyone within a family plan as well. While playing on iPhones will be one of the most popular ways to interact with all the games available through Apple Arcade, subscribers will also be able to play on other Apple devices like iPads and Apple TV. For those on the fence who aren't sure of either the quality of the games or whether they'll be interested enough to keep a subscription going, Apple will be offering a free 1-month trial for Apple Arcade. Over 100 games are scheduled to be added to the service, some of which have already been announced. Games from LEGO like LEGO Brawls, as well as another title from Annapurna Interactive called The Pathless, are among many that will be, well, revealed, if they haven't already, for Apple Arcade. Demos of some of these games that'll be available were shown off during the Apple event as well. The use of console controllers, like the ones for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, will also be supported, Apple announced previously. Apple revealed its arcade service back in March and gave iOS users a preview of what to expect from it. Apple Arcade games will redefine games and be curated based on originality, quality, creativity, fun, and their appeal to players of all ages. Apple said about the service, Apple Arcade will give customers the freedom to try any game from its hand-picked collection of titles that are all you can play, have no ads, ad tracking, or additional purchases, and respect user privacy. So, woohoo! I'm excited and looking about that one. It looks like they have a video that goes along with it. So yeah, excited about that. Apple Arcade is one thing that I was looking forward to, and excited to see finally pricing announcements related to that coming on down the pipes. But yeah, let's see what the full lineup of games is before we finally jump in and have, you know, something pull us away from Fortnite. Am I right? All right, moving on to our last gadget article. There's some leaked photos floating around about the Google Pixel 4, and I think it was almost deliberate. They announced it just before the Apple September event got underway. Whatever the case, Apple's iPhone lineup is destined to be the biggest launch of 2019 by far, with sales that will reach into tens of millions just weeks after the new iPhone models are released next week. Yes, even as high-end smartphone sales decline in key markets all around the world, Apple's iPhones will continue to outsell every other flagship smartphone model. This is especially true for Google Pixel phones. In fact, there's a very good chance that Apple has sold more iPhones in a single weekend than Google has sold throughout the 3-year life of its Pixel phone initiative. Sleek and powerful though they are, Google Pixel phones have never really sold that well. But while the numbers fail to impress, the amount of buzz that accompanies each new Pixel phone launch is always off the charts. Such is the case with this year's upcoming Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL debut that's expected to take place next month. Now, don't expect the details to sell all that much better than their predecessors, and Android fans go nuts each and every time new details or new Pixel 4 photos leak. Well, new news came in earlier this morning. New hands-on photos of the Pixel 4 have just leaked, and they give us our clearest look yet at Google's upcoming new flagship in some multiple colors. So, are you guys ready for the leaked colors? It's a mysterious source. I don't know who it is. Are you guys ready? Are you sure? Are you actually watching, or are you listening via the podcast? Because if you're listening, that kind of doesn't translate into seeing. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. YouTube.com/TechNewsGadget. Here's the leaked photos. Oh. Whoa, will you look at that? There's the back. Here's the front. Looking good. These are posted on a subreddit. And yeah, these actually look pretty darn good. Welcome to your new Pixel. Looks very nice. So obviously, here's the latest leaked photos for you. The new Pixel 4 and Pixel 4 XL are expected to be announced during a press conference sometime in early October, and they'll likely be released before the end of that month. All right, moving on to some gaming news, and PC Gamer always loves to do this to me. Well, you just restart the page here. Jeez. All right, so for those of you who know Civilization, the game, they added a new turn-based battle royale mode for Civilization 6 called, get this, Red Death. Yes, it's a new game mode. Battle royale mode, of all things, is coming to Civilization 6 today. The new turn-based battle royale mode, Red Death, is set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland of poisoned oceans, ruined cities, and a shrinking circle of deadly radiation. Red Death supports up to 12 players per match, though you can play with a few as 2, and you can play against other people, against AI opponents, or a mix of both. Red Death is free if you already own Civilization 6. Now, according to the author who wrote this article, they joined up with 5 other individuals and played a long and fairly uneventful single match of Red Death together last week, and the highlight of which was, well, one individual nuking another individual. It's also interesting. They also played against some AI opponents over the weekend. It's a really strange mode for Civilization, really, especially considering you're not really building any civilizations. Matter of fact, you don't build anything at all. In fact, here's how it works, and here's what doesn't work that well. Each player begins somewhere on the wasteland map with an infantry unit, a machine gun unit, and a civilian unit. It's the civilian unit that is most vulnerable and most important. Your civilian has no attack ability. They're just driving around in a junky looking truck, and if they're killed or captured, instant game over for you, no matter how many other combat units you have at the time. Now the goal is to be the last player on the map with a civilian unit, at which point a spacecraft lands, takes your civilian off the ruined planet to the safety of an orbiting space station. I mean, it doesn't really sound much like Civilization, huh? Right. Now each player takes their movement turn simultaneously, though combat happens in a more traditional turn-based format. Creeping across the map takes time, a long time actually, with most units only moving a couple of hexes in a single turn. Even with, well, 5 others playing on a small map, we almost never ran into or even saw each other during our match, so it was all very slow and uneventful at the start of the round as they spread out, fought against a few AI raider units, and began the Civ version of looting for gear. Now, there are a few ways to increase your power. You can come across ruined cities that you drive right into. You can attack and invade AI strongholds, or you can be the first player to reach an airdrop. Your reward might be an additional civilian unit, a helicopter, a tank, additional infantry or gunners, and so on. Sometimes you just find some additional XP that you can use to promote your units, which opens up a very small skill tree to buff their abilities. Now, if you have 2 matching combat units, you can link them together to form a more powerful squadron. Link another, and your squad becomes an army as usual. Now, sometimes you'll find a nuclear warhead that, get this, you can launch to do some heavy damage against an enemy, though even the nuke isn't fatal if the unit you're targeting is at full health. The nuke also leaves a sizable area of the map irradiated for several turns, kind of like the Civ's version of PUBG's Red Zones or the Storm Bubble in Fortnite. You can link a combat unit to your civilian to act as an escort, which was definitely recommended here. If your civilian is all alone, all it takes is an enemy unit to occupy the same hex to capture it and end your game, even if it's your only civilian. Using a combat unit as an escort means that unit will have to be defeated before your civilian can be captured. Now, the closing circle of Red Death at first feels incredibly slow. Beginning on the very fringes of the map, it can be ages before you even see the edges of the red circle. There will be a timer telling you when it's going to begin closing, and you're shown the area it'll close around as it advances, a single hex per turn. But once it's closed in a bit, the Red Death becomes a major threat. If you're fleeing the circle and run into enemies or difficult terrain, or if you're trying to capture an airdrop and get caught in it, the Red Death can really make a mess of your units. If several players are still alive near the end of the match, it can become a massive traffic jam. Trying to navigate, protect civilians, battle other enemies or AI enemies in a tiny handful of remaining safe hexes is fun in the late game, and about as much fun as Red Death gets. And nuking somebody is also fun. It just takes a long, slow, sluggish match to get to the good part. It's almost like maybe they should speed it up a little bit more. But they do have 8 different factions that you can choose from. Each comes with a few different buffs, but yeah. That's their thought on it so far. What do you guys think? Battle Royale mode coming to Civilization 6? What'll they think of next? I have no idea. All right, moving on to some more gaming news. The new Plants vs. Zombie shooter is off to a strong start, and you got the mushroom-looking thing jumping around and doing cool stuff. I don't know. Last week launched a special Founders Edition early access period of Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhoodville, but it might not have a lot of content yet. It's already a blast to play. Now, if you enjoyed the colorful, cartoony, competitive world PopCap games built with Plant vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, I personally played the game, so I enjoyed it. And its sequel, you'll probably love Battle for Neighborville. It's a game that builds on what came before. The gameplay is mostly the same with a few tweaks here and there. Both sides of the never-ending conflict has gained a couple of new troops. Now, the biggest change to basic battles is a new sprint feature. Finally, I think it's been requested forever. The previous games had players' characters running at a slow and even pace. Now, every character can sprint at will. Certain skills and abilities for each character class are unavailable while sprinting, and health will not regenerate, so there is a trade-off for that extra speed. Now, the main benefit is less downtime between kills and less time spent waddling back, get it, into the fray. Plus, all the characters look incredibly cute while running, and see, case in point, the little mushroom guy right here. Watch his feet. Now, there's still into week 1 of the Founders Early Access for Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. The true only content in the game so far is the Central Social Hub, the Turf War Player versus Player Mode, and Town Center, which is a free-roaming player versus environment questing area for plants. Still, the author here, at least, is having a lot of fun. Check out the video below, which, well, I personally did the same thing, Battle for Neighborhood, twice. But, yeah. For those of you wondering, the Central Social Hub is a free-for-all fairground/battleground with bases for both plant and zombie factions. In these bases, players can spend cash earned in-game on random cosmetic rewards or experience boosts, edit their characters' upgrades and outfits, launch into a PvP battle, or travel to an adventure zone to complete some solo quests and collect rewards. The zombies have a little weird dancing mini-game in their base. Bastards. Plants, sadly, don't have a mini-game just yet, but, yeah. Town Center is quite fun as well, the plant-based adventure zone. It's almost like being in a third-person Plants vs. Zombie role-playing game. Starts with a mission. A sunflower assigns players to help rid of zombie machines that are causing plants to dance uncontrollably. Players must seek out an underground dance club, recruiting non-player plants to their side along the way. After that, there's an escort mission in which the player and his posse must defend a lawnmower, which seems like a weird conflict of interest, which is funny. It's actually quite funny in this only multiplayer shooter, and it's the first of many, and we're only a week into it. Today marks the start of week 2 of early access, adding a player versus environment adventure mode for zombies and the Team Vanquish multiplayer mode. More new stuff will be coming every week leading up to the game's October 18th worldwide release on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Now, if the older Garden Warfare games are any indication, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhood will have no shortage of new free content anytime soon, and might just become a little bit addicting. Slightly more than Angry Birds will. Just saying. And finally, you're probably wondering, hey, what is that video that you posted to your account over the weekend? Yeah, that was a Surge 2. It's this interesting new game that's going to be coming out in just a matter of weeks here. It's kind of a game that kind of came out of the blue. But the Surge 2 is finally looking at a new cinematic story trailer. And yes, there is the trailer embedded right into this article for you guys. So if you are interested, head on over to TechNewsGadget.net to be sure to open up the article and watch the video. But yeah, The Surge 2, the sequel to the popular 2017 action RPG, will be released on September 24th for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Take a look at the brand new cinematic action, read CG. So it's not actual gameplay, but it's still a really cool trailer above in preparation for the game's launch. But if you want to see some gameplay, IGN has you covered for that as well. They have a video attached that covers the first 16 minutes of the campaign. So if you guys want to get a feel of things, how things are going to work, get into the little bit of the story, this game's nuts. I mean, you're literally walking. I don't know. The only way I can explain it is you almost have to see the game, Surge 2. I don't know. it's impressive. That much I will say. I haven't been able to exactly nail down just yet how the game exactly feels. Oh, what's that one game? The one game where that one character has these electrical abilities that seem to like grow, and he seems to gain new electrical abilities. Like he can suck electricity out of nearby electrical units, like a power thing or a light bulb or a street light or cars, and then he can convert that into energy, and he can do different things, like he can glide with it. Infamous. This is what that game kind of reminds me of. um Looking here at the Surge 2, but this one's kind of interesting. You're like part cyborg, part human, and then you can actually defeat players or characters or I don't exact enemies in this game and upgrade your gear that way. They actually have several different classes that you can take. You can be more of a like a big, heavy, beefy tank that you can take a lot of blows and damage and respond in kind. You can also parry attacks, which will stagger the enemy, opening them up to a wide variety of counterattacks, all completely customizable by you. And however your playing style takes you. There's also the nimble, you dodging or dashing. Matter of fact, you can even jump over an attack if you want to be more of the dodgy type and like kind of go in for a couple of hits and back off and kind of wear them off that way. Plenty of different play styles to choose from. But if you haven't seen the Surge 2, there are links here. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section on YouTube or hit me up on Twitter. We are at TechNewsGadget. And with that, that wraps up this episode of the Latest in Tech News. Thanks for tuning in. New episodes every weekday. The Latest in Tech News can be found on every major platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Stitcher, Overcast, and more. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button and by leaving a comment if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening via the podcast, if you could leave us a review out on Apple Podcasts, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated, or in the app that you're currently listening in. Also, double check that you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next episode. And be sure to share this episode with a friend. I'm your host, Taylor Merrick, and remember, for the latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.